Everyone said that Adrian carried something unusual inside him. It wasn't just intelligence, it was intensity. When he focused on something, the world narrowed until only the problem in front of him existed. As a boy, he would take apart broken clocks just to understand how time moved through gears. He built small wind turbines from scrap metal in his garden. He sketched blueprints of inventions in the margins of his school notebooks, while teachers explained subjects he had already mastered. But brilliance does not guarantee direction, and it certainly does not guarantee opportunity. Adrian grew up in a neighborhood where survival mattered more than aspiration. His mother worked double shifts at a care home. His father had left when he was 10, leaving behind unpaid bills and a silence that filled the house like fog. University brochures arrived in the post, glossy and hopeful, but so did final notices and red-stamped envelopes. He earned top grades. Teachers praised him. One even told him, "You'll change the world one day." Adrian believed it. He applied to elite engineering programs with scholarship requests attached. He wrote essays about renewable energy for struggling communities, about affordable technology that could bridge inequality. He stayed up past midnight perfecting every line. The rejections came anyway. Funding shortages, overwhelming applicant pools, limited placements. He refused to quit. He worked construction during the day, carrying bricks under a relentless sun, his hands blistered and raw. At night, he studied online lectures on borrowed Wi-Fi. He entered invention competitions and lost to applicants with polished prototypes and corporate sponsors. He pitched ideas to small investors who smiled politely and never called back. Every failure felt personal. Not because he believed he was entitled to success, but because he knew what he was capable of. The world simply refused to see it. There were moments he nearly gave up. Once, after a startup accelerator rejected his clean water filtration design without explanation, he walked home in heavy rain, his folder of blueprints soaked through. He stood on a bridge overlooking the river that ran through the city and felt something close to despair. Not dramatic despair, not hopelessness, but exhaustion so deep it pressed against his ribs. "How much more?" he whispered into the wind. Life answered with silence. He took whatever jobs he could find. Warehouse shifts, repairing appliances, night security at an office park. During security shifts, he would bring tools and work quietly on prototypes in the break room. He built a small, low-cost energy converter using salvaged parts. It worked. It wasn't pretty, but it worked. He tried pitching it again. Another rejection. Too risky. Not scalable. Insufficient credentials. Credentials. The word haunted him. Years passed. Friends advanced in careers with titles and benefits. Adrian collected calluses and disappointment. Yet through every setback, he kept building. He refined his designs. He learned coding languages. He studied market trends. He trained himself in public speaking by recording practice pitches alone in his small flat. Then came the worst blow. His mother fell ill. The care home where she worked offered minimal support. Medical equipment at the local clinic malfunctioned often, delaying proper monitoring. Adrian watched nurses struggle with outdated devices. He offered suggestions gently, but policies and bureaucracy blocked him at every turn. One evening, as he sat beside his mother's hospital bed, he noticed the portable monitoring system glitching again. The numbers on the screen flickered erratically. A nurse frowned and tapped it with frustration. Adrian leaned closer. He understood circuits the way some people understood music. He saw inefficiencies instantly. He asked permission to examine it more closely, but hospital protocol denied him. He went home restless. For 3 nights, he barely slept. He researched that specific model. He studied common faults. He sketched improvements. He realized the device wasn't inherently flawed. It was poorly adapted to handle power fluctuations common in lower-income facilities. An idea formed, bold and risky. He requested a meeting with the clinic director, armed with data and a small prototype he had built from spare components. He expected dismissal. Instead, desperation opened a door. The clinic had been warned about equipment failures. They were under review. "You have 10 minutes," the director said. Adrian spoke with fire he hadn't felt in years. He explained voltage regulation, cost reduction, simplified user interfaces. He demonstrated his modified component stabilizing readings under fluctuating power supply. He did not oversell. He showed. The director's skepticism shifted to curiosity. "You built this alone?" "Yes." "With no institutional backing?" "Yes." A trial was approved, limited and cautious. The first week was tense. Adrian volunteered on site to monitor performance. Nurses watched him carefully. Some doubted him. Some quietly hoped he would succeed. When the system stabilized consistently, no flickering, no sudden shutdowns, word spread. The clinic reported improved reliability. Patient monitoring became smoother. Stress levels among staff visibly decreased. Then something happened that changed everything. A regional health inspector visited unexpectedly during the trial period. Equipment performance data was reviewed. The improvements were undeniable. The inspector requested a detailed explanation of the modifications. Adrian presented his findings with clarity and composure, years of self-training crystallizing in that single presentation. The inspector asked a question that made Adrian's pulse race. "Can this be scaled?" The opportunity he had chased for nearly a decade stood directly in front of him. Within months, a pilot program launched across multiple clinics in underserved areas. Adrian was contracted officially, his design refined and funded properly. Engineers joined his team. His name began appearing in reports and health innovation circles. The boy who had been told he lacked credentials was now being asked to advise on infrastructure improvements. But the greatest moment was not the contracts, not the media interviews, not the funding secured. It was the afternoon he visited his mother's clinic and saw a ward filled with stable, functioning monitors, devices strengthened by his innovation. Nurses moved with calmer confidence. Patients rested more peacefully. His mother squeezed his hand and whispered, "You didn't just change machines. You changed outcomes." All the construction shifts, all the rain-soaked blueprints, all the silent nights in the security booth. They had not been wasted years. They had been forging years. Adrian realized something profound. The delay had sharpened him. The rejection had forced him to refine. The obstacles had built resilience stronger than any degree could have. Opportunity had not arrived because he deserved it. It arrived because he was prepared when crisis demanded someone capable. And when he finally stood on a stage years later, speaking at a global health innovation summit, he did not speak about talent. He spoke about endurance, about building quietly when no one applauds, about believing in your ability long after the world has stopped noticing. The applause that followed was thunderous. But Adrian knew the real triumph had happened long before that stage, on a hospital floor, with a flickering screen, when preparation met necessity. And finally, at last, the door opened.